hello, hello. It is nice to see everybody. I am super excited today because it is Friday and it is an awesome day out there. The weather is absolutely amazing. I get incorrigible when the weather is nice, so wait for it. Here is the intro. Boom goes the dynamite. Isn't this magical? I'm having, honestly, way too much fun with this stuff right now. And it is good to see you all.
4, 3.
That's right.
2, 1, 0.
Wait for it. Here we go.
Lift off.
That's right. That's right. You can feel it. Yeah, this is exactly how I dance. And this is generally when my wife runs away from me on the dance floor because... Come on. You gotta get into it. It is the weekend coming up, and alright, let's go ahead and dial that down because that is about enough of that. Anyway, welcome everybody to the Landlord Coach Daily Show. It is good to see you all, and thank you so much for joining me today. I am really super excited. I've got a couple really cool things I want to share with you today, and some more crap coming out of Oregon, which absolutely just makes me want to bang my head against the ground because I have no idea. I don't even know. Whatever, we'll just figure it out as we go. But I don't even think I've got any friends that are actually from Oregon, so maybe eventually they will figure it out. But anyway, one of the things I want to share with you today is from a good friend of mine that I posted. I shared her post on the Landlord Coach page. It is facebook.com/my-landlord-coach, and this post is from my friend Vina Jones-Cox. I'm just going to go ahead and read this. If you haven't read it, I normally wouldn't want to read something this long, but it's interesting because I've never actually dialed into the phrase landlord, even though I'm the landlord coach. One of the things that I just never really liked that word. I never really referred to myself as a landlord, and it just seemed like this old school, like Ralph Furley type word, and I just never liked it. I never referred to myself as that, right? I just kind of referred to myself as a business owner, or an investor. Anyway, her post, I'm going to read most of it here, but her post is titled, "Don't Call Me a Landlord." And this is from Vina Jones-Cox, who is I think she founded the Ohio State RIA and hosts the national RIA in Cincinnati, I think Cincinnati or Columbus each year, and it's a great event if you have an opportunity to go. If we ever get out of post-COVID, it's a great opportunity to learn a lot of stuff from some really good speakers, and I've been there for the last 3 or 4 years since I knew about it. Anyway, so her post is called "Don't Call Me a Landlord." It's an insulting, outmoded term from a time and place that I'm grateful to have never lived in. I neither owned land that other people work, nor am I a titled noble who came into property through inheritance or royal grant or taking it from someone else in battle. My customers are not required to work for me or take up arms for me or be bound to my land for their lifetimes by custom or by law, so don't call them tenants either. They're renters who voluntarily chose to exchange their money for my shelter, and grown-ass adults who signed contracts that spelled out the responsibilities to make the payments they agreed to make unless I broke our agreement to leave the property undamaged or pay for damage that they and their guests did, to obey the laws of the community and mine, her requirements, to allow them to quietly enjoy the property, to keep it safe and habitable condition, to honor their right to continue to live there and at the same monthly payment throughout the term of their lease unless they broke the agreement. So lots of stuff there that I really, really love. But the best part of the article comes up here, which I really love this. We both have legal rights and protections that address exactly what happens if one of us doesn't meet the terms of our agreement, the landlords and the residents, okay, or the property owner and the resident. Those laws are decades old. They are strictly and clearly defined the legal process that either of us has to be made whole, though they impose penalties on both sides for breaking the law of the land or for breaking the terms of the agreement. This is the part that I love. This isn't feudal Europe, where agreements came in the form of my family has always owned this land and your family has always worked it, so we're both stuck with it whether we like it or not because of tradition and honor, unless I decide otherwise, of course. That is really what is interesting, because if you think about it, it's like, okay, it's not feudal Europe. It's not like we have these fiefdoms. This isn't Scotland where we have the Bruces that were that were the landowners, and they were the ones in power. Everybody should basically have equal power. And if you have a leasehold interest in a property, you can legally reject someone for coming on your property without cause, right? Like, the landlord just can't help himself, and I'm using the phrase landlord here, even though I don't like it, but the property owner just can't help themselves to the property whenever they damn well feel like it, right? So there's protections there, which I love. And if you have a leasehold interest in the property, it's not absolute, but it is enforceable, right? The article goes on, my relationship with my renters under the law and for practical purposes is much more akin to a commercial transaction than the archaic idea of landlord-tenant arrangements. I offer a product, attractive, affordable places to live, and that they value. And if they don't, they choose not to do business with me. They offer an enticement that I value, the ability and willingness to pay for that product, and if they don't, I don't do business with them. The reason why I love this particular article, and I'm going to read the rest of it here in just a minute, but the reason why I love that particular part of it is because she talks about the ability of the free market system to operate. And that is where, if you're looking at some areas of the country that don't recognize that as a thing, where you're forced to actually to do business, or you can't get rid of somebody that you don't want to do business with anymore, vis-a-vis eviction moratoriums, or even being forced to renew leases with people unless you have an otherwise compelling business purpose. If you're just dealing with someone that's an absolute jerk and really hard to work with, you should be able to have that choice to not renew a lease with them. And in certain areas of the country, that's not a possibility, and that sucks. So she goes on to say, I'm not a lot different than a grocer who provides food at market rates in return for money, or their cellular service provider who provides the ability to make calls at market rates in return for money, or their mechanic who keeps their car running and gets paid for it in money or whatever rate the market will bear. Every product or service my customers use has things in common. They pay for it. They fully expect if they don't, they won't be able to use it anymore. The companies that provide these have enormous capital and manpower invested in creating, providing, and maintaining what they offer, and staff to pay, and people who put up the money to do whatever they have the right to be expected to be repaid with interest. That's the part of investing. It's no different in investing in real estate as you're investing in cell phone towers. It's the same thing. The providers all have competing companies, also vying for their customers' dollars, and they have to constantly reinvest in understanding the market, improving the product, getting better at what they do, adjusting their prices as the demand for what they offer grows and wanes, or new, better products and services come onto the market. If they don't, they go out of business, and the owners typically lose everything they've invested, just like me, just like her, just like every other investor. It used to be a time back in the day where we couldn't get away with, or you could get away with renting a property, and in some markets this is still the case, where you could rent a property without a refrigerator or a stove. Okay, in my market here in Lafayette, Indiana, that would be hard to get by, and I know that there are some property owners out there that still do that, but I don't know how they get by with it, because